spanning the SEC.
Well, the SEC's best game of the weekend was Alabama knocking off number one ranked Mississippi State 25-20. A game that Alabama led 19-0 early. Mississippi State came back, got as close as 6 points before Alabama went on what Nick Saban would later call one of the great drives in the history of Alabama football. Whether that was hyperbole or not, it was certainly clutch work from Blake Sims as the Crimson Tide were able to get just enough of a cushion to hold on. As for Mississippi State, they had over 400 yards, played well offensively, but Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions, and that was just too much to overcome. We'll see now how Mississippi State is placed in the playoff race and whether they can still try to get in even if they don't win the SEC West. For the SEC's best performance this weekend, you've got to look at Missouri running back Russell Hansbrough. Had touchdown runs in the third quarter of 45 yards and 49 yards to help Missouri go on the road and beat Texas A&M. Just a huge win for Mizzou as it tries to win the SEC East title. It's not always pretty, but they find a way to get it done. Hansbrough's a perfect example of that. Not really a household name among SEC running backs, but had 20 carries for 199 yards against that Texas A&M defense. And now Missouri still controls its own destiny in the East. The developing story in the SEC is what's wrong with Auburn. This is a team that just a couple weeks ago a lot of people thought might be the best in the country. Dynamic offense, Nick Marshall, a guy who has that clutch gene, team that seems to be able to win even if they get behind. They find a way to pull it out. But now they've lost 2 in a row. They had that big win at Ole Miss. Then they came back at home, lost to Texas A&M. Then this week went to Georgia, absolutely got blasted, 34-7. The game wasn't particularly competitive. And you just wonder if maybe the schedule is catching up to Auburn a little bit. Nobody had to do what they did this year. They went to Kansas State non-conference. They had to play at Ole Miss. They had to play at Georgia. They had to play at Mississippi State. And then, of course, they've still got that Iron Bowl coming up. Maybe they're just spent. Well, on a weekend that is light on marquee matchups, Ole Miss at Arkansas has suddenly become a sneaky good game. Arkansas finally broke that long SEC losing streak. They had lost 17 in a row. They finally get a big win at home over LSU. Now they come back the next week and they've got Ole Miss. This is a really interesting matchup because that Ole Miss run defense is a little bit suspect. They're great in the secondary. They can really cover you, but physically between the tackles, they sometimes struggle against the run, and that is what Arkansas really likes to do. Ole Miss probably can't win the SEC West. They need a lot of help. This would certainly be a game that if they don't win, they're completely out. But for an Arkansas team that finally got something tangible to feel good about, this could be the start of them sort of kicking down the door toward competitiveness in that Western Division.
Spanning the SEC.